Hello and welcome to today's Kitco Coffee Break webinar titled Precious Metals in Your IRA. We have just a few announcements before we begin. The slides will advance automatically throughout the presentation. Should you need technical assistance, click on the Help widget. If your screen freezes or the slides do not appear to be advancing as they should, please try exiting and restarting the session as it may be an issue with your connectivity. At any time, you can submit a question using the Ask a Question box located in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. I will now turn the call over to Sonia Dore so that we may begin. Please go ahead.
Hello and welcome. This is Sonia from Kitco Marketing. Thank you for joining us today for Kitco's webinar with Ryan Glaspell, Precious Metals in Your IRA. I would like to introduce today's presenter, Ryan Glaspell. For the majority of his professional career, Ryan has worked as an independent financial advisor. Licensed in 1997, he spent most of his time with insurance giant AIG while holding multiple financial industry regulatory authority licenses. As a Sterling Trust National Business Development Representative, Ryan specializes in working with precious metals brokers, dealers, and other institutional clients to showcase the value and benefits of using retirement accounts for alternative investments. So enjoy the presentation today. Over to you, Ryan.
Thanks, Sonia. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your schedule and joining us today. Hopefully you'll see a good amount of value out of the presentation today, and then we'll also give you some roundup at the end of the presentation to follow up with any questions or comments that you have going forward. But again, I am Ryan Glaspell. I'm a National Accounts Development Representative here at Sterling Trust. Really, the majority of what I do here at Sterling has been focused on the precious metals business. So I'm very familiar with our structures, and in talking a little bit about how we work with Kitco, we have a great partnership in working with individual investors in their IRA accounts. Just to tell you a little bit about Sterling, we have our normal corporate disclosures there. You can kind of see we're not giving any advice. We're just kind of helping people as far as custody alternative assets. But Sterling itself is really an industry leader in self-directed IRAs and alternative investments. We really have a focus on precious metals, as I said, and that's a big part of our business. We provide information and education to individual clients and even work with their financial advisor or gold and silver dealer to kind of help them through the process, make sure they understand about the IRS coding and making sure that they meet all the necessary requirements to meet those guidelines of holding alternative investments in their IRA account. Again, we are a passive custodian, so we don't compete. We don't provide any advice, legal or investment information to individual clients or their representatives. We also don't sponsor or sell any investments. Sterling, again, just to give you a little bit of history about us, been around really since 1984, so approaching 30 years now. We are strong at 140,000 accounts and over $11 billion in assets, which really makes us one of, if not the top custodians for precious metals in the industry today. But going to the next slide, really the whole purpose of this conference call or education material now is to find out really why you should hold precious metals inside of an IRA, why and how to do it. We see a lot of people that we work with currently do it for primarily a couple of reasons. One, and primarily one, is investment diversification versus the U.S. dollar in the economy. It really provides proper diversification that can help accumulate and preserve wealth. So it's not directly correlated to what you would call traditional assets, so stocks, bonds, mutual funds. Precious metals really are considered one of the few ways to protect assets from high inflation. It kind of acts in inverse to what the dollar is doing, and you see everything that's going on overseas, especially in Greece. We've gained a lot of popularity in that asset now. The next slide kind of goes into the next big topic for why people buy precious metals these days, and it's really liquidity. A lot of alternative assets out there now, especially the real assets like gold and silver, platinum, and palladium, have been widely known as illiquid assets. We found that's not the case. With the market out there now and even the secondary markets out there, we see that precious metals are considered liquid and can be readily converted into cash really at any time these days. The next reason we see is really somebody looking to take advantage of IRA account access with precious metals is tax-deferred and tax-free growth. inside of an IRA, the code is very specific. It allows certain contributions into the account, so in essence it's a saving vehicle for retirement. And then with those contributions, you're allowed to do certain things with them. And we've seen traditionally over the years that people buy stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, and then they can defer that taxation until they decide they want to pull it out at retirement. What we've seen now where people are actually buying precious metals. So again, inside of an IRA, it's very clear you can buy gold, silver, platinum, and palladium as long as they meet the finest requirements, and we can work through Kitco to make sure everybody's on the same page with that. And again, tax-free growth. For those of you not familiar with Roth IRAs are really a great vehicle to allow tax-free accumulation over time. So as long as you meet certain criteria, and we can walk you through that, most times it's holding the investment for at least 5 years inside of a traditional a Roth IRA program. And then when you go to withdraw the funds or sell the precious metals, everything that you make in there and all the gains are tax-free. So that's been a really popular option as well. And really the process, everybody's now wondering, how do we do this? We know the idea of investing in precious metals. Maybe you've bought some outside of an IRA, but now you're open to looking to doing it inside of a retirement vehicle. What happens next? What's the process? Well, in our partnership with Kitco, we work with them directly to communicate and be on the same page from the start of the process through the actual purchase and storage of the metals. Really, the start would be the individual client would need to open an account with Sterling. And we'll walk you through the paperwork that's involved there. It's just a simple application. The application is then submitted into our operations team, and the account is opened. And then the account actually has to be funded. So where is the money currently? Is it going to be a contribution where somebody's sending in a check? There are certain limits with that. But we see most times people transferring money in from another source. So if there's an account with their bank or a brokerage firm or someone else that has an IRA account currently that they want to move it here to Sterling for precious metals access, we see what we call a transfer form take place where we have the client fill out a transfer form, they complete it, send it in to us, and we initiate the movement of the money from where it is currently to where over to us here at Sterling so that we can process the metals trade. The next stage is really to work with Kitco to make sure you find a metals investment that's going to suit your needs and that makes the most sense. And then after that, we actually go through the invoicing process with Kitco. They send us the invoice. We then turn around and send the funds to them. So it's a really simple process once we get the new account set up. And this gives you an idea, and all of these applications are found on our website, or if you contact our sales team, we would be happy to email these out to you. And I think Kitco could even have access to them as well. But this is kind of the basic rundown of what you would do with a new account application. Once you download it, once you have it in front of you, there's really 3 big, what I would call roadblocks to what people forget to complete inside of doing that. One of them is at the top right, as you can see the circled section there. Is it a traditional account or what kind of account is this currently? So where your account is, if you're moving it over from another institution, is it a traditional investment, traditional IRA account? Is it a Roth IRA account? Is it a qualified plan like a 401k, 403b, 457, something like that? That's where you kind of identify the type of account. Really the second big pitfall, just so you're aware, is the beneficiary that needs to be completed in case something happens to the individual client. That Social Security number of the primary beneficiary does need to be in there. So we see accounts held up because of that, where we need to communicate again with the individual client setting up the application to make sure we have that data. And then finally at the bottom really gives us an idea of how the fee structure is going to be taken care of every year. We honestly see more people pay with a check or via credit card because that way it's not taking from the investment proceeds coming over from another institution. So they have more money to invest. So you can do it via credit card, you can do it via check, or if you do have that desire, you can have the money taken from a transfer proceeds coming from another firm. The next page really gives you a rundown again of what needs to be completed. This, where it's circled, gives a little bit of a rundown, too, of what we call an optional designated representative is. And in most cases, working with Kitco, Kitco's information will be listed on there so that they have access in working with you and making sure the trade is done efficiently and correctly. And then we just need your signature there where it's circled. And then finally, as most any traditional type application, we need a signature at the very last spot on the page. And I mentioned a transfer earlier. For those individuals that are moving money from another institution, this gives you a sample of what our transfer form looks like. Again, the biggest pitfalls here are telling us what kind of account it is currently. So is this a traditional IRA? Is this a SEP? Is this a qualified plan? And then what is it going into? Most times we will see traditional to traditional. But if it is coming from a qualified plan, like a 401k, something company sponsored, you would check that section as well. But it is then going into a traditional plan with us. And then finally, the last section is signature there. So the transfer form is really clean and simple, just one page, and then we need the signature at the bottom. Now, once we get the account application completed, the transfer form completed, and everything's in process, what happens next? As I mentioned, once we get everything on our end through the process, which usually takes a matter of a couple of days to a couple of weeks, and a lot of that depends on how quickly the transferring institution gets us the funds. So as a client, if you want to speed up the process, it's always good to check with that current company and see where the process is, see what you can do to expedite that, because the quicker they send us the money, the quicker the investment can be made with Kitco. But once we do get the funds, we will notify Kitco so that they're aware that the money's in the account. Kitco and the individual client would communicate to decide what makes the most sense, how much do I want to purchase, and of what. And then Kitco forwards us an invoice. Once we get the invoice, we then forward funds to Kitco to finalize the transaction. As soon as the transaction's finalized, the metals are then shipped to a storage facility in Wilmington, Delaware, which is Delaware Depository. And the reason we do this is because within an IRA account, no matter what the investment is, you can't take physical possession or it's considered a taxable event. So we've actually rented space at Delaware Depository as custodian to make sure that we have all of the metals there in safekeeping so that we meet those requirements for our clients. And just to give you an idea of Delaware Depository, a lot of people want to know a little bit about them and what they do and why we use them. They're really the largest and most renowned storage facility for IRA transactions in the world. They're out, as I said, in Wilmington, Delaware. I've personally been there 3 times now and looked at the facility. The security is state-of-the-art. You won't find any other security system in place at any other depository that I've seen, and I've been to a number of them. They're an exchange-approved storage facility. They have $1 billion of all-risk insurance coverage, which is very important for investors to know because if something happened to the metal, they have insurance coverage which would take care and make them whole for that. So it's not that the individual investor needs to take a separate policy out on the metals. Delaware Depository provides that for them while the metals are stored there. And as I said, Delaware Depository has got a long-standing history and reputation. We've had no issues. They've had never an issue where they've lost metals. They have double and triple checks of everything that they do. When the metals come in and are shipped there, they have 2 to 3 people undo every box and make sure that it's on the system and on the camera so that everybody can see what actually was shipped in and what's shipped out of there. So it's a very high security depository, which should make people feel very good these days. And with that, when Delaware Depository gets the metals, they communicate with us via a feed, which is up to the minute, so that we know what was received versus what was expected. And from that, we then communicate that to our online system where clients have access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, any day of the year to go in and take a look at what not only they have in there, but what the value of their account is and what the value of those metals are approximately. So we give you a basic ballpark value. It's not necessarily by any means 100% accurate, but we want to give you a ballpark value of what we think the market is just in general of those metals. So we do our best to do that. But the online account access has come a long way. You can go in there, and as I said, it's up to the minute, actually now up to the second. So you can see transactions, you can see values, you can see any sort of notations on the account at any time. So we are actually moving towards being able to transact online as well. So that should come early next year, which is very exciting. And really, again, touching on the final benefits of working with Sterling as custodian for precious metals. Over 28 years of experience, as I said, approaching 30 now. We do alternative and traditional assets, which is important because if, as a client, you have assets at another firm that may be stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, we can still hold those here at Sterling. So if you want to move an entire account over, it doesn't just have to be cash. We can move traditional assets over and then even help liquidate those. So if you want more money in the market to buy precious metals, we can help facilitate those other types of accounts as well to make things a little bit more easy and seamless. And again, we diversify beyond the traditional. So a lower correlation to traditional asset classes, adding earning opportunities, and then really the ultimate flexibility. So you as the investor have the ultimate call, the ultimate flexibility in what you feel strongly in investing into, and that's what we try to help facilitate for our clients. And with that, I just want to give you some contact information. With any questions, feel free to visit the website, sterlingtrustcompany.com. For new accounts, we have a new IRA sales team in place, the 877-345-4721 or IRA1. We would be more than happy to assist any questions. We have a team in place now to handle any inquiries that come in, whether it's from an individual client or a group of people or advisors or metals dealers like Kitco for that matter. We would be more than happy to be there to assist in any way that we can. So with that, we thank you for the opportunity to show you a little bit about what we do here at Sterling, and we hope to talk to everybody soon and work together at some point in the future.
Thank you for attending the presentation. Kitco will be happy to assist you with your precious metals needs. Please do not hesitate to contact our customer service center at 1-877-775-4826. Kitco will be hosting other free webinars, so please keep checking our website for details.
Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for your time and attention. This webcast is now concluded.